The relationship between Chicago police officers and the communities they serve has been under the microscope in recent weeks since the release of the video showing teenager Laquan McDonald being shot and killed by a Chicago police officer. But long before that incident, a nonprofit in North Lawndale has been working to allow Chicago police officers to meet with people they wouldn't normally see outside of their jobs, people who have been incarcerated. Brandis Friedman has this story.
On the corner of Independence and Polk in the city's North Lawndale neighborhood sits a Seventh-day Adventist church. It used to be a Jewish synagogue. It's a fitting place for two other very different populations to meet: Chicago police officers and people who've served time in prison. A good old-fashioned game of have you ever breaks the ice.
Have you ever dated someone of a different race?
And before it's all over, 43-year-old Daniel is getting an accidental hug from Police Sergeant Jointer as the two jockey for safety.
Is that the first time a cop has hugged you?
Yeah.
This is the Building Bridges, Building Connections initiative of the North Lawndale Employment Network, a nonprofit that helps formerly incarcerated people get back to work. Clients have a monthly lunch with Chicago police officers so the two groups can ask each other questions.
When you think about what's happening right now in America, and specifically right here in Chicago, having an honest dialogue is important for police officers to have a better understanding of community, specifically those men and women who have felony backgrounds, and then vice versa too. Because what tends to happen is once you have negative information that takes place, it's very easy to paint each other with one broad stroke of negative perceptions.
After the fun and games, the conversation turns serious.
How many of us been bullied? A lot of us raised our hands. And and growing up, I understand, like, that's how, like, we get into a lot of stuff that we get into.
And this is the first Building Bridges meeting since the Laquan McDonald video was released.
Most of the distrust is in the minority communities for the most part. The people up north and the people in, the richer neighborhoods, they don't have, we just service to them. We go to their house, we respond calls, go to that door. Things like that. So they don't see us in the same light.
I gotta say, I'm kind of disappointed because I see black and brown officers here, and I don't see no white officers here.
And then this happens, and it's like you go back to work and you see that citizen who every day I say, hey, how you doing, Mr. Wilson? And they're giving you this. Yeah. And it's like, what the hell?
We're not talking about an individual case. We're talking about a systematic injustice, that's happening to black and brown people. And that's what I want to open it up for.
Me, I'm not Jason Van Dyke. I didn't do that.
Daniel, who's asked us not to use his last name, clearly has harsh criticism for police officers. By the end of the meeting, his opinion may not be completely changed, but it has softened.
I empathized with the black female officers, when they said that they experience being black and being on a police force. It's not something I think about.
Sergeant Modesi Joyner began attending Building Bridges when it started 4 years ago.
Pretty much typical head-butting discussion that we have. I welcome it. You've got to allow people an opportunity to voice their opinions.
She finds the meetings beneficial for both the officers and the clients to learn from each other.
From this point on, when you have an interaction with a police officer on the street, maybe you hear that little voice in the room say, okay, wait a minute, let me breathe. And that's on both levels, for the police as well as the clients that are here. One of the things that when I come out here, I always tell the guys that the name of this game is to go home.
And no matter their differing backgrounds and opinions, they certainly have one wish in common.
That what could have made it better? More time. That's it, just more time.
They are too short, so you really just, get to, as soon as you get started, it's already time to stop.
And even though the hour is over, the conversation continues outside of this circle. For Chicago Tonight, I'm Brandis Friedman.
While most of the officers attending this week's session had attended previously, a survey from the North Lawndale Employment Network shows 73% of Chicago police officers participating had never interacted with formerly incarcerated people outside of a law enforcement setting.